Hey guys, I wanted to record a video about Soulmask 1.0. This came out about 2 weeks ago. A bunch of new changes, new systems that have been added, in addition to a new map, which I haven't played yet. Uh, so in this video, I'm going to be focusing on the systems that have changed on the jungle map. So this is what my friends and I have been playing over the last 2 weeks. See, I'm about to hit awareness 60. We've been playing on awareness 2x. Um, I've had a pretty good time with this. This is, probably my third or fourth playthrough of Soulmask. Um, One of my favorite games for sure. And some of the changes that have been added in 1.0 have been great. I guess I'm going to start by talking about the mask system. A big change has occurred with the mask system in that you can essentially switch masks on the fly. You can see I have several of these masks unlocked. I can just hold the C button and change to a new mask whenever I want. So that adds a lot of flexibility to the gameplay style. Previously, you used to have to come over to your mysterious stone table and interact with it like this and transfer awareness to a different mask that way. But now you can have a whole bunch of different masks at your disposal when you go out on your adventures. You can kind of decide which one you want to use for the given situation. Another thing that is new in the 1.0 release is the starter masks that you're given. You still have a choice between the Conquest, the Rich, and the Civilization, but whichever one you choose is actually going to start the game fully upgraded. So essentially everything from this node to the right, they're all going to be filled in right away at the start, which is absolutely crazy. Really changes how the game plays early on. They're also going to give you an energy buff that lasts for quite some time, several hours, maybe even more. I can't remember exactly, but you essentially have infinite energy when you're starting out the game, and you have a mask that has this entire tree unlocked. So I chose the Conquest mask when I started and was able to enable an invisibility status for 35 seconds whenever I wanted. Essentially unlimited amount of times because I had so much energy at my disposal. Um, this does cost, I believe this costs yellow crystals, but check. Just gonna press V, see if that used a yellow. Oh, it actually doesn't cost yellow crystals for the starter. So, um, so yeah, these are super cheap to use. Um, Energy isn't super hard to come by, and like I said at the start, they're giving you so much because of the buff that just keeps your energy topped off permanently the first 20 hours or something in the game. Um, so yeah, the invisibility comes on the Conquest mask. I think the Rich mask gets like a conal AOE that lasts for 5 seconds. Fire off whenever you want. And Civilization mask, a damage reduction buff. I think it's like a 60-second damage reduction buff. Um, and you can use this. Yeah, it's a 60-second buff for 20% damage reduction. You can basically just keep spamming that all the time if you want. Um, really gives you a lot of power early. It opens up a lot of new strategies that might not have been viable right off the bat before. Um, yeah, there's also some interesting changes to these upper nodes. For instance, in this section with all the crafting skills and gathering skills, they've added another upgrade So like for this one, for example, mining speed increases by 20%. They added a fifth upgrade here to add that mining speed. Previously, it was just the proficiency rates that would go up with the upgrades. So now you can tack on an additional speed buff, fifth upgrade. That's kind of interesting. They lumped spear and shield together into one to make room for the whip. Which the whip isn't currently in the jungle map, but that is there on the tree now. And yeah, spear and shield both share the same slot, so that's big value early on. What else is there? Unlockable masks now have their mimicry functionality unlocked quite a bit earlier as well. So if I look at, say, the Torch of Eternity here, previously in Soulmask you would have to basically reach all the way to the last upgrade before you unlocked mimicry. Now on the unlockable masks, it's going to be right away at the start of the mask-specific tree. So this holy mode mimicry is unlocked right away, giving you some healing when you get hit. And I also think that they used to lock mimicry behind one of these data updates, which is no longer a thing. Data updates do some different things as well, so take a closer look at those when you're considering when you want to go do the fog frog and when you want to do the ape. You know, like the ape, when you beat the ape, you get info entry limit plus 10, so that's the amount of tribesmen you're able to save in the mysterious stone table. So you're a lot less pressed for space on this info entry section. You can see I've got a ton of people saved in here. Those guys are all going to be safe if they die. I can just resurrect them. They've lowered the amount of time that it takes to remodel somebody from, I think it was 30 minutes before, to now it's about 5 minutes. And then after a certain, I think it's after the ape, once you beat the ape, you get instant respawn. I believe it's data update 3 gives you instant respawn availability. So for those of you who maybe had a little bit of trouble and ran into issues where you're dying to bosses and have to wait 30 minutes to respawn your character to go fight again, that's not a problem anymore. Much more accessible in that regard. So that's pretty much all for task system. I do want to talk a bit about the training system, which is brand new in 1.0. I have a couple of training stations up here that I've been using. Sorry for the noise, but these guys are in progress. The training ground allows you to set up, you can essentially fine-tune the tribesmen that you have with talents and combat skills. So there's two different functions for the talents. One is to learn new talents and one is to upgrade talents. So for example, if I wanted to teach some talents to this character, I've got powerful attack, the trainee. These are the current talents they have. They have these 5. Every tribesman still has a maximum of 6 green talents. So there's 1 open slot on this character. I was going to teach them with Norma. Norma has 3 talents that powerful attack could learn. Is Crave for Blood, Hardened Body, and Extraordinary Talent. These ones, since powerful attack either already has them or isn't qualified for them because they're not a Fang tribesman, can't learn these, so it would be one of these three good to them. And essentially, if I were to say learn chances 1 and start training, they would begin like a 2-hour training session where Normo would fight powerful attack, and they would go through, and one of these talents would be added to powerful attack as their 6th talent. That would overwrite anything that is currently going to be coming on that character. So you can use how you use the monkey mask to determine what kind of talents are coming up on somebody. Like this guy has refined armor 3 coming, level 60. That would probably be one that I wouldn't want to overwrite, but I have had a couple of pretty good successes with the training grounds so far. If I take a look at Larzik here, he is my main weapon and armor crafter. I was able to finally get refined armor onto him. He's got the 120 breakpoint for weapons and armor, and then he came with the weapon enhancement and got trained the refined armor. So he's being quite a good performer in terms of his craftsmanship for weapons and armor now. But yeah, there's a lot of cool stuff you can do. This character Ling here, I basically like handpicked which talents would go onto her. So she's got, I would say, 5 that are very, very good, and then this last rating I think was something I would probably change if I were to redo this. But yeah, it's a cool system. You can go out and get low-level bodies that only have a few good talents. For example, this Gaz character here, I caught him at level 15 or so, and he only had this Fatal Rhythm. And then I used Master Dong, trained all 5 of these talents onto him. Now going through the upgrade process. So when you train a new talent onto somebody, they get the level 1 version of it, and then you go through another training session to upgrade their talents. So he's still working on upgrading the Crave for Blood and the Hardened Body. They both need to upgrade their Crisis Resolution from somebody else, but we'll get to that eventually. So this is a cool system. It does take a lot of time. As you can see, this session's been going for a half hour already and is only a third of the way done. But it is cool. It's something you can do with your tribesmen when you're going to go to bed and log off for the night or whatever. Gives them a way to progress their power while you're away, which is quite nice. Oh, and there's also the weapon proficiency training that you can do, so I should show that as well. I think that's what these guys are doing over here. Yeah, so you can improve combat skills now, so characters that are low on specific weapon proficiencies can get them boosted up by characters that have higher proficiencies in those categories. You are limited by the class of the character, so Ling, for example, is a hunter, so she's only able to boost up to 125 for bow, dual blade, single blade, spear, gauntlets, and spiked whip. But all the other skills you can boost up to 100. So she had a couple of really bad ones that were very, very low that I've upgraded quite a bit. And see how she ends up. She's going to be pretty close to done here. I basically need to get a few more of her weapon skills leveled up, and then she'll be pretty much set to go. Training system, pretty good. They've made a lot of changes to base management. They've improved some of the usability. Just, things like tribesmen getting stuff from boxes seems to work better. You don't see your tribesmen getting hung up on chairs and being unable to find the items that they need and stuff. So, like, if I were to, let's say I queue up a fried taco here, I have a license that he's gonna come over here, think that they just grab straight from boxes now, kind of like you do if you start crafting something. If he sees this, yeah, he doesn't even need to go run and grab the stuff. He can just get it right and make the food. So that's nice. There's this entire new positions system as well. So if you hold E on a guy and say tribesman positions, you can assign them to just like do these floating jobs. So like if I were to say for now, he will go seek out that type of work. I experimented a bit with this. I think that this is probably better used on players who are maybe a little new to the game and don't want to fine tune their base management as much, because it doesn't work as well as if you set everything up yourself, but it does do a decent job. So somebody who doesn't care for the base management aspects of this game, I could see that being really nice to just check that box on the tribesman position for pretty much everything on everyone, or like specialize on the thing. Just say all the skills that are orange you get to do. You know, they'll start doing the work, but it won't be as clean as if you have the systems really set up and planned yourself with assigning caretakers and setting up the automated queues and that type of thing. But the position system does add a bit of usability for people who are new to the game. I think it's been nice for some of my friends who have been playing for the first time. Animal pens have some new functionality where you can actually set the number of males and females you want to have as adults. I think they had something similar to this before, but it was a little different. You could set the number of adults you wanted to keep, whether or not you wanted to keep a 50-50 ratio of male to female. But this gives you a little bit more finer control over. I found that to be pretty useful. There's a new menu. As far as I know, this is new. I didn't see this before, but if you go to your bonfire and click on assign works to tribesmen, you've got this position where you can manage all those positions I was just talking about. So that's something. At the crafting table tab here that shows all the crafting tables you have and who their caretakers are and what the queues look like. You can see all of this right from your bonfire, which is kind of cool. Try to figure out what problems people are having, if they are having problems. And even, can you keep something? Can queue. So actually queue up all the crafts you want straight from the bonfire now, which is kind of cool. And then there's this total supplies tab, which I think this is brand new. This shows you a total count on anything you want. You can set limits on, if you don't want people to keep gathering logs past 1,000, you can set limits on that. Store more boxes, which helps prevent storage overflow and problems rising from that. Also pretty cool if you hover over one of these, so I can see that I have several different bases where I have coal ore stored, and this gives me a count of where that is. See, the Bronze Pit Bonfire's got 3,500, Twin Peaks has 72k, and the current base I'm at has 35k. So this is useful if you're trying to track down, like maybe I have bloodstones and I need some, but I don't know where they're at. Well, now I know they're at least they're at this base. Fire, so that can help you track down items that may have gone missing, or you're just wondering how much stuff you have in stock and trying to set up a trade with a different tribe or something like that. They did add a new building similar to the collection yard. So like you have the big collection yard, We also have a minor collection yard too, and that comes at a much earlier point in the tech tree. Prior to now, 5 to get these ones. I believe the smaller. Just got a small production base. These are only 10. They're actually pretty good. At 10 awareness, you can build these very, very cheap buildings, and you place them out at the edge of your bonfire. I'm not sure if I have any. They act similar to the logging yard, the collection yard, and the excavation pit, where they expand the radius of workable area that your tribesmen are willing to go gather for. And you put those down much earlier than you could the bigger collection yards. So that's kind of a cool addition. Another mount text. So we noticed that mounts were leveling up the more you used them. So like this is a jaguar that I caught when I was level 35 or something, and it's all the way up to level 58-2 now. Mounts definitely didn't level up like that before. And this is somewhat speculation. I haven't tested this too much, but it seems like the more you use the mount, the more you ride around on it specifically, the more it levels up. There was somebody who, when we were awareness, like 40 or so, had a nearly level 60 Jaguar mount, because that's all he used, and he rode everywhere and didn't use teleporters all that much. That's kind of cool. Previously, you maybe end up with mounts that were very low level in the late game and could be particularly susceptible to damage. Maybe get one shot by a plunderer or something like that. That's less likely to happen now, since if you're continuously using your mounts, they will continue to... there is one other building that's new, and it's this hunting ground. I have not used this too much, but this unlocks the ability to send tribesmen out on expeditions. For example, I could pay 6 tortillas, some bandages, some meat, and fruit, and I could send tribesmen to go collect these resources. So let's say I needed turtle shells for armor. You know, I could say, all the Blumpkin, you to go get that. Success rate 100 with these two guys, so I could then send them to do that. They would stop doing whatever they're doing around the base, and they would go on this expedition and come back in a little bit. It's like 27 minutes. Might as well just try this because I haven't done it yet. Sufficient materials on. So, whatever. I won't do it. I guess you need that stuff in your inventory. Yeah, it's the hunting ground. Like I said, I haven't used it too much. There are some interesting spots where you can send people, like for instance, this place. You know, you can get some cool stuff from this. It's hard to find mods, gold ingots, rubber, like these types of things. You can also send them to like the ancient ruins dungeons underground. Maybe some gear durability mod 3s. That would be pretty cool. Not something I've experimented too much with. I've been too busy using the training ground part. Let's see, there were a couple other things I wanted to hit on. One is recognition speed. So you would go to a barracks previously, deter somebody. You would need to feed them with liquid food like broth or something, and wait probably something in the ballpark of 20 minutes before they would wake up. Now in this this current setup, killed the guys here already. You can recognition speed after you deter somebody goes up much quicker. So I'll demonstrate with this guy here. Show you this guy. Not even gonna feed this guy. Goes. It also seems like, you know, the satiety and hydration for deterred people is far less demanding. Previously, you left somebody on the ground base while you cleared it. By the time you're done clearing the base, you maybe come back outside and they're already like dying of hunger and thirst. Whereas now, see, he's already up to 75 recognition just standing here. You need to get to 500 to recruit them. So much easier to recruit people straight up from the barracks when you go there. And then also, like, if I were to leave this guy here, I could come back in a day from now and he would probably still be alive on the ground there. So that's a lot more lenient for the recruitment efforts that are going on. I guess that means that, like, don't necessarily need to have a teleporter or a base nearby to a barracks if you want to be doing a big recruitment push there. You can kind of just go there and deter a bunch of guys and maybe come back later and bring them back on a llama, or just recruit them there on the spot and then deploy them to bring them back. There's some differences there. And then one last thing I wanted to highlight was dungeon guidance system. Which you can see now when you go to some dungeon tanks. Head to dungeon. Just go to this river. So these dungeons, like, especially in the late game, they get to be kind of confusing in terms of the hell do I go, and I get lost in here. So did add a sort of navigation system. You can see in the top left it says River Valley Dungeon Ruins, and then under that it has a bunch of different objectives listed. So I can press page up and down to scroll through these and decide what I'm looking for. And then this yellow indicator out on my POV is going to tell me where to go in order to get to those things. So let's just go Slayer X. That's the end boss of this dungeon. Just going to follow this in. This guy actually has weapons on him to do this, but this is just to demonstrate how this navigation system works. I'm gonna run past all these guys here. Yeah, this is a big quality of life increase for people who don't know these dungeons, because it used to be kind of a pain in the ass to navigate without knowing where to go. Some of them are very confusing when they get to be very big. But yeah, this makes it much easier. I only have a construction hammer, so I probably can't fight these. See if my spear is good. This boss up. Turns out steel gear is pretty good still. Doesn't matter, I don't have a hammer. They did also change, I believe, the mechanical enemies had something change about them in terms of whether weapons would bounce off of them or not. Previously, you needed to apply a corrosion tank no matter what for your weapon to not drop off, bounce off of them. But I think now, let's try hitting this guy. So right now, I can actually hit this guy full damage, no corrosion tank, which is interesting as well. Not sure what the corrosion actually can test the damage. damage I gain applying corrosion tank. I'm just gonna keep here. You know, people who know that torches were a great indicator. Whichever torch left with one torch, not go to the boss, but a lot of people didn't know that before. These little navigator indicators are pretty nice. Okay, so let's try hitting this guy. Hitting 280s. Guy, and then this does do a little bit more, but be like 10% more. Definitely not as necessary as before. Let's finish this boss real quick. But yeah, that's pretty much the biggest changes I've noticed from the 1.0 release. I haven't really played the new map yet, so I'm sure there's a whole bunch of new shit from that as well. But yeah, these are the biggest things I noticed for this map. Feel free to let me know if I missed anything big. Leave a comment if there's something that you've noticed is crazy different about the 1.0 release. Otherwise, if you have any questions, let me know. I'll probably make a couple other videos. I think I want to do a deep dive on the training system. A bit more in detail on how I've been using that, because that seems like one of the coolest new systems for sure. It really gives you some tools to create that perfect tribesman that you're trying to find always. Dying of thirst here. Something. Distracted talking all this stuff, but yeah, the Tribesmen training grounds gives you a lot of new ways to create cool tribesmen, like super broken combos. Might have had to spend dozens or more hours fishing at barracks trying to find the right combination of talents before, and now you can kind of use the training ground to sort of force that to occur, which is pretty cool. Yeah, it might take some time still, but at least you don't have to be actively playing the whole time while you can sort of have that going as a background task while you go to bed, like that. But yeah, that's about all my thoughts for now. If you stayed and watched this whole thing, that's crazy. Good for you. Thanks for watching.